Welcome back to Real Phonies, where we take a love for movies and television and combine it with very little knowledge about movies and television. I'm your host, Christian. Join with me are my co-host, Joseph.
Hello.
And Jehu.
And Jehu, who might be on mute.
And Jehu.
Oh, God. Caw-caw. Sorry, I muted
go.
myself again.
I hope that stays in. That's kind of been a running bit, and that was the perfect time for it to come up.
I really enjoyed that one.
All right, so we're doing Movies Revisited again. The first time we did it, we teased or made reference that we should do it to Pirates of the Caribbean. So that's what we're doing. We're doing Pirates 2 and 3, the only good sequels. Joseph, you always have some introductory thoughts. What are you going to say?
The first Pirates of the Caribbean movie was based on absolutely no other source material besides the fact that it was a fucking long-running ride at Disney World. And it was a surprisingly, really enjoyable, fun flick for the whole fam. But it was pretty self-contained. And then, because it made a shit ton of money and everybody liked it, Disney said, here, Gore Verbinski, have all the money and don't cheap out on the runtime. And gave us 2 more movies.
And that first one, it was such a fucking surprise that it was such a hit.
Yeah, because, I mean, what other fucking pirate movie do you know that's done well?
Well, the last pirate movie before that was Cutthroat Island, and it was like what you see in the dictionary when you look up bomb. Like, you know, they spent so much fucking money on that, and they made none. And this, you know, I was living the life at this point. I was working at a theater at University Mall, and it was after, you know, the rave had opened, so we were dying. And the only time we were ever busy was when something was just a surprise hit, when no one was prepared for it. And this one just kicked our ass, blew the doors off the place. So yeah, it was a surprise to everybody.
My favorite trivia tidbit, and this could be wrong, but that Pirates of the Caribbean ride, I believe all those animatronics were made for like the World's Fair. And then
really?
They just came up with something. The same thing's true for It's a Small World. Like, you could collapse It's a Small World and put it on the back of a truck and move it. That Walt came up with all these things for the World's Fair, and then he had a bunch of shit, and then decided he'd make a theme park, and that's like how Disneyland came about. Yeah. But the first movie is really good. The second and third movie, I think, had mixed reviews.
For sure. They were definitely, certainly not as universally beloved. And I think the responses varied from either, these are absolute trash, to, yeah, it's pretty fun, but not quite as good as the first one. And
what were our thoughts the first time we watched these movies?
Actually, really similar to what my thoughts are now. I'm kind of more towards they're not, you know, they're enjoyable enough, but not as fun as the first one. I've always liked the third one more than the second one, and I know that you are on the opposite train, Christian, and so I was worried I was going to be wrong, but I feel very right about it coming back into it. They're fine again. I think it's all entertainment value, and when they try and spend time on not like adventure, action, humor things, it just feels like wasting time, which these movies have a lot of.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that you could probably, you remember Mad Libs? Did you guys do Mad Libs when you were a kid?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You could probably just take all the proper nouns out of all my comments on the Matrix podcast and just replace them with this. My like beat for beat, my feelings are almost exactly the same.
Yeah, this, unlike the Matrix sequels, I had said with that one, I came out of those sequels out of the theater more positively than the average bear. Coming out of the theater on these sequels, I definitely was in the negative party. The first time I watched them, I really hated them a whole lot. This time, I enjoyed it a whole lot more, actually. I do think I have felt for a while these movies were underrated, even by myself, but I had not gone back and watched them. But I still prefer the second to the third. But I found myself liking them a whole lot more now than I did 15 years ago or whenever the frick they came out. I think the first one came out in 2006, the first sequel.
Yeah, the first sequel was 2006, I believe, yeah.
Yeah.
Because they were back to back. My big change in feelings was I watched the first one before I watched the second two, and in watching the first one, I realized I didn't give a single fuck about one bit of the plot. I still love the performances, I love the action, I love the fun, but I don't. There's gold coins that make you zombies. Who gives a shit?
Right.
And so in watching that, I realized, well, hey, if I don't care about the plot in this, why do I care that the plot sucks in the other two? And it made me enjoy them a lot more.
Yeah, I did not watch, unlike the Matrix one, I did not watch Pirates 1 because I feel like with the Matrix films, Matrix 2 and 3 are kind of a completion of the story of Matrix 1. Matrix 1 is about Neo becoming the one. Matrix 2 and 3 are that prophecy that he's supposed to do. It's a completion of this thing.
I wouldn't necessarily I think that, like you're saying, the two sequels to the Matrix are like natural extensions of the first one, whereas with this movie, the first story had a beginning and an end, and this is just a new story with those same characters.
Yep. 2 and 3 are of course the same story and all connected, but besides, spoiler alert for a nearly 20-year-old movie, Barbossa being dead at the end of the first one, none of that matters.
Yeah.
Nothing that happens in the first movie has any relation to the second movie. I guess maybe you can make an argument for Norrington, who is a minor role in these two films, but literally nobody else, whatever happens in that first film, does not matter.
I will say, as far as the way that I think that these have been remembered in time, I have to imagine they're remembered slightly better now that we've had a fourth and fifth sequel, which are just utter fucking unwatchable trash.
Yeah, they're really terrible.
Yeah.
I don't want to do a beat for beat
for sure
of 2
not.
and 3, but getting to more specifics about, let's start with Dead Man's Chest. Right, that's the name of the site. I just watched it and I already forgot.
I got really nervous when I started this one because the first maybe hour of it, I was like, "Oh, are these really bad?" Look, the first hour is it harkens a lot more to the later sequels where it does the same bits, but they don't land as much. The timing is off, and it just leans super hard on the first one's bits. It brings back the Captain Jack Sparrow bit. The rum, the getting slapped in Tortuga, the dog with the keys, and the eunuch joke, all this shit. It's just it's. I'm not saying you can't have references back to your previous films that are fun little nods, but I mean they're just that is the thing. That's the laugh they're going for. And so I was really nervous for from Jack getting out of the prison to most of the cannibal island. That I was like, oh, this is really bad. But it got better from there.
Yeah, I think maybe because I didn't watch the first one and I haven't watched these movies in a long time, that didn't bother me, as it just, that callback worked. Oh yeah, I'm back in this world and these are the bits and I have forgotten all this crap, and that didn't detract me as much. I do think, to your point, had I watched the first one, that stuff would have really annoyed me. Because, yeah, you just, especially when it's only 2 years apart, and Joseph, you and I were the right age. If you were a teenager during this period, you watched this movie 1,000 times.
That is absolutely
especially
true.
the first one.
Uh-huh.
It felt like every time I wanted to hang out with a girl, all she wanted to do was watch Pirates of the Caribbean.
I mean, it was also just on cable all the time. It was it's got a lot of rewatch value.
I will say the biggest detractor for me in the second film is no Jeffrey Rush.
No, well, agreed. I think so. So the additions here are pretty strong as a whole. I think we introduced the whole Davy Jones mythos with Jack having made a deal with him for being captain in exchange for his soul, whatever. But Davy Jones is played by the incomparable Bill Nighy, who's the best part of a lot of bad movies.
He is so freaking good in this movie.
He's so great in this movie. Yeah. So this is one I wanted to mention early on. Stellan Skarsgård as Will Turner's father, Bootstrap Bill. How do we feel about that?
He's not good. He's not good in these movies.
He's not good, and like, I know one of you is going to come back and tell me that one of the Skarsgård sons is handsome, but that's a lie. Their body is handsome. They've got a weird Stellan Skarsgård face that's just 30 years younger. Every time I look at that motherfucker, one, I can't imagine that he was a cool pirate at any point in his fucking life. And two, the idea that like girly pretty boy face Orlando Bloom came out of that makes no fucking sense to me. That was the break of disbelief in this movie for me, not any of the other bullshit.
I'm gonna argue against the idea that that Orlando Bloom is that fucking pretty. I think he looks like a guy who deals weed out of Santa Villa and Pace.
I'm not going to argue that. I'm not going to argue that that's not true, but I'm just saying that guy that deals weed also has a really hot girlfriend.
But yeah, as far as Skarsgård, he looks like he's as trapped in this movie as Bootstrap is on the fucking ship. He just looks like he's just reading the lines, man.
Yeah, it's sad is that dude is oddly enough kind of a charismatic actor. Like
he is.
He's really fun to watch on screen, and he looked like he was having no fun whatsoever in that
role.
Yeah, I don't really care for Orlando Bloom in the second film. I think he's actually a lot better in the third film. So every scene that it's just those two, when they're on the whatever Davy Jones's ship is, they're a bore.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing that stuck out to me this go around, because I've always thought that Orlando Bloom and Keira Knightley are just bad in this movie. Like they're not good actors. And rewatching it, I don't think that's the case. I just think their characters are fucking terrible. And again, they're the ones that are supposed to be like giving, they're the straight men in this universe who are supposed to be like, living some kind of honorable experience with morals and whatever. And so they're the ones that are constantly soapboxing and having like, trying to have legitimate emotional beats. And it just does not gel with anything else in these fucking movies. So every time that they speak, I just want them to stop speaking and something else actiony or funny to happen.
See, I don't have that problem with Keira Knightley, but in almost all things, I'm on the straight arrow side. I'm Cap over Iron Man, Superman over Batman, Jack over Sawyer. But in these movies, I find Will
You're
Turner
a Jack over Sawyer? What the fuck?
Yeah.
We need to have a Lost episode. Fuck. All right, carry on.
But anyways, I find Will Turner insufferable. I can't stand a second he's on screen. I actually think the movie, all three of the movies, would be better without him. Just give Norrington more screen time.
Well, yeah, but Norrington's more of the tragic character. I don't know.
I don't think either of them are bad in these movies. I remember thinking them being bad. I remember thinking they were utter trash. But this time I didn't have as much of a problem with them. But I do agree that from a writing perspective, they're the ones that no one knew what to do with. And they're supposed to be the straight guy, and there's no other complexity to them than that. And when they try to do, when Will and I guess Elizabeth both become somewhat morally gray in situations, they're not interesting when they do it. I don't know. They definitely, I think they're needed for the movie. I just think it might be the part that's most lacking.
And I also noticed the second time go around that Keira Knightley is right. Elizabeth Swann is right pretty much all of the time, but she's just so shrill and annoying that nobody gives a fuck.
Right.
I did want to say, freaking special effects hold up.
They do, yeah. And I also noticed that.
I was surprised at how well Davy Jones still looks. Like if that came out today, I would still be impressed by it.
And they actually one of the things that still movies have a hard time with, they do pretty well, which is mixing CGI scenes or like blending them into real scenes. There's a couple of like the swinging scenes in the third one. There's the one where Jack is like on the stick and like flying through the air. There's a couple ones like that where they transition from one to the other. And I'm not saying it looks like fucking great, but it's pretty good.
Yeah, what's even more impressive is a lot of this is in the daylight too, which is a really, still a difficult thing to really nail down.
The only other two cast people I wanted to mention that got really added in these movies is Tom Hollander as Cutler Beckett, who I really like as both like a thematic villain and as like his portrayal of that character. And
well, why didn't that guy become more of a thing? Because he's good in these movies.
Yeah, well, he's got one thing. He's good at being a kind of menacing, not menacing. I mean, menacing is the right word, but not like physically menacing. British guy. That's kind of his thing.
Yeah, but like Ben Mendelsohn has written Richard Grant. Like they all these guys have the same shtick, and I think he's doing it pretty well.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, this movie was a trap because really, him, Gibbs, Norrington, none of those guys really exist outside of these movies. I can't think of another movie I've seen any of them in.
Yeah, Gibbs in particular got a lot of screen charisma, I feel like.
Yeah.
And they're all three good in them. Yeah, it's surprising.
Yeah, they are.
They just do like BBC Actors Guild crap.
Yeah. But the last one I wanted to mention is Naomi Harris. As she has a name, but she's like, the
Tia Dalma.
Oh, sure. Tia. The creepy witch lady who's also, the goddess of the ocean or whatever. But one, weird choice to have such a very attractive actress and then like put her in all that shit. And two, I'm discovering more things about myself because like I have similar vibes with this as I had to the Enchantress vibes in Suicide Squad. Like I know they're like really gross and dirty looking, but at the same time, I'm really into it. I don't know why. I don't know what that says about me. I think it's because I can't smell the TV.
That could be.
But
I think she's really great in this role.
She's really good. I really think she does a great job.
You bring up questions that this made you ask about yourself, about your attraction towards her. In these movies, I don't find Keira Knightley attractive at all, except for the section where she's dressed up as a boy. Then I think she's pretty hot.
I think that character is a good way we could bridge into the third one, but because for me that's where things start to go wrong. But I think Naomi Harris is really freaking good in this role, and I say where things start to go wrong, it's the complexity that they begin to add and how integral they make her into the part and what that character does to Davy Jones in the third film, where I think things really go awry. But I think the strength of the second film is that it's pretty simple. It's a bunch of people racing to get Davy Jones's heart, and I dig that.
So two things about this second one before we get off of it.
Go for it.
First of all, much like The Matrix 2, I think this one has the best action sequence of the three, which is when the three are having the sword fight over the chest on the island.
For sure.
Gosh, it's cool.
Let's talk about the fact that this series was Fast and the Furious before Fast and the Furious. It's 100% built on set pieces. It's just set piece to set piece. Yeah. But that's a great
They're more
set piece.
Interesting.
They are.
They're more interesting than seeing dudes, in
cars out of a fucking plane. Yeah.
Yep. That water wheel scene is so freaking cool.
Yeah, it's fucking great. That whole, how it starts kind of silly and then sort of progresses to being more like, oh shit, this is a really cool action thing. I really love that whole section. And, I like the reintroduction of Norrington in that part. I like the three-way sword fight. I like the side action with, office guy and bald guy and Keira Knightley running from the fish zombies. That whole section I just think is really good. The other thing was, you guys don't seem to be that impressed with the cliffhanger of Barbossa showing back up. I remember seeing that at the theater at the time, and I was fucking amped by that.
Oh, no, for sure. We are underselling
that.
That
Fucking scene. He looks so cool when he bites in the apple and drools on himself. And is that CGI, or did they teach that monkey to be gangsta?
I don't think so. I think that looks like it really happened.
That honestly, that's my favorite scene in all three of the movies.
I mean, that's super fair.
It had me so amped for the third one, and it seems like almost everything they set up for the third one, they just didn't follow through on. They're like, oh, I'm tired of that. Now we're just gonna make a different movie.
Did they make these movies at the same time?
They did back to back. That's what the silliest part is.
Because it does feel like they just did not know how to land the third. And I don't know. I guess maybe if you had time to think it out, you could hit it better. But I feel like if you're sitting down at a desk and you're like, I'm going to write 2 movies at once, you could be able to follow plot lines through better.
Right,
but
right.
they just don't hit well in the end. But that is a great ending.
I wanted to. The one other thing I wanted to mention before we moved on is this movie has one scene that shows, I think, the line of where the restraint was in this movie. I don't know if you guys noticed this going back through it. They went for like wherever the lowest hanging fruit was at all times. They went for it. Everything was a penis joke. There were upskirt jokes. Every single one has a little person joke in it.
Yeah.
It's not what I would generally consider tasteful. But there's one scene where Elizabeth is talking to Cutler Beckett, and Cutler has the line, "There's more than one chest of value in this world, Miss Swan." And the fact that it didn't cut straight to her breasts and then pan up to her face was the most restraint I've ever I could have imagined this film having.
Yeah, I remember. I can't even remember what it was, but there was one that I was like, "Is that a masturbation joke, or is that just them talking?" And I don't think it was. It's just there had been so many innuendo jokes. It just seemed like they were all innuendo.
Right.
Yeah. I did kind of feel like this stuff wouldn't play in 2020.
Right.
A little bit, but.
So
I think the second one's better than Transformers. I really like this one. I really, really like Bill Nighy and Davy Jones on this one.
Right. To me, I think the promise of the world is better than the movie as a whole. And I know we'll get into the third movie. I think the biggest issue for me comparatively to the third movie is that the 2 big places that we go, which are like the Cannibal Island and the island near where Davy Jones's heart was buried, are just kind of too similar, and also just kind of too similar to a lot of the other places we've been so far. And I think one of the things that I like about the third one is that there's just a lot of variety in setting.
Yeah, I kind of on the closing note for this one and an opening note for this one, the third one, these movies are darker than I remember them to being. The Flying Dutchman people are generally
horrifying.
Freaky. They're creepy. And
the shell guy in particular really fucked me up.
Yeah, the third one opening on a mass hanging and a child.
Yeah,
pretty dark place to open a film.
Well, hang on. I do want to take one note back to 2 versus 3, because 3 definitely has the darkest, but also pretty effective opening. The second one starts with the rained out wedding, right?
Yeah, it's Alanis. It starts with Alanis.
But like, why is Elizabeth Swann out? And like, I get visually, but like, they give no explanation for why she's the only one sitting out there, and everybody else is hanging out under like cover.
You would think at least her dad would have stayed and hung out with her.
Right, but nobody, just her. But yes, no, the third one definitely I think is it's dark. Like the shit where they get the little boy the fucking barrel to stand on so they can hang him.
Yeah, terrible.
Did you have a direction for this one?
Me? What?
No, it's fine. So yeah,
I don't know. I have no idea what just happened.
It's fine.
I don't.
So this one starts in Singapore, which is kind of making good on a bit from at least the first movie. I don't remember if they reference it in the second movie, where they meet another pirate king in Singapore. Which is, oh God, what is his name?
Chow Yun Fat.
Yes.
And he's dope.
He's great. I like it. I like the whole, like, look, there are some very 2020 problematic shit in all of these movies, I think, just from a depiction, portrayal kind of perspective. But from, if we ignore that, it's an effective aesthetic, I think.
Yeah, no, I really, I don't get why, the bathhouse thing, but since I just watched Spirited Away, I was like, is this a nod to Spirited Away, or is this like a thing? But I think he's, we're talking about Stellan Skarsgård being a bore. Chow Yun Fat is having a blast.
He is, yeah.
Yeah.
And every time he's on screen, I'm also happy because he looks happy to be there. I don't love the Singapore stuff as much. I do want to point out, I'm pretty sure that opening is a set, and it would probably one of the most incredible like set builds I think you've ever seen. I mean,
Agreed,
the whole thing
yeah.
just on water and then that action sequence on top of it, all very impressive.
I am really annoyed we never got. I remember being annoyed at this the first like couple times that I've seen this movie and rewatching it. There's like they make a specific point at some point of Cutler's right hand man Mercer killing the twins that are like Chow Yun-fat's like I don't know his bath people. I don't know what they do.
Yeah,
but like they take time out of it and it like seems mysterious. And it seems unnecessary. And maybe it's just to show that he's cruel, but it always seemed like there was another scene in the movie that they just cut out that was about
I think
Mercer.
there definitely is. I definitely think there is maybe not about him, but I definitely think there is like a revenge scene after the one sister dies.
Mm-hmm.
And we just see the end of it because, you know, the movie is 2 hours and
49 minutes.
long.
Yeah, I know. We totally could have done a thing on like Gangs of New York or something instead of this. But now I'll never watch Gangs of New York.
It took so long to watch both of these films.
Dude, they're both so long, which is weird because the first one, which tells a completely self-contained story, is not as long as either of them. But these two that are essentially telling one story are both 3 hours plus a piece. It's crazy.
Yeah. After this, we kind of move into where I think things start to go off the rails, which is Davy Jones's locker.
Oh, I love Davy Jones' locker. This might be where we diverge.
I don't enjoy the million Johnny Depps. Those bits aren't funny to me. I just don't care for it.
I think it's pretty good. I think again, special effects wise, holds up really well.
It does. That's true.
I enjoy the weird surrealness and the crabs and all that stuff. I don't know. I thought it was pretty fun.
This seems like a good place to bring up the part of this that we seem to have conspicuously not talked about at all. How do we feel about Captain Jack Sparrow as time goes on?
I thought, because I'm so tired of Johnny Depp's shtick now that, like, retroactively it would annoy me. But I still think this is a pretty fun character. I think he is pretty fun in this role. He's not as tired in it as he is in the later movies. So I didn't mind it. I still quite enjoyed Jack Sparrow.
I think both of these movies make a really smart decision, which is they spend almost an hour away from their star. It seems like a bad choice, but waiting an hour before you get to Jack Sparrow in the third film, I think it's a smart choice. I think it especially like when you're just bringing Barbossa back, you need to spend time with Barbossa. But I also think it's good for Jack Sparrow because the movies are 3 hours long, but you don't want to sit with that character for 3 hours. Like it just is, too much of a good thing. It is the one time where the shtick really, really works. But Jack should never be really, the main character. Or the one you spend the predominant amount of time with. I think the movies do a good job of balancing everybody out, and that makes that character fun every time you see it, every time you spend time with them. This is where the other two go wrong, because it is all Jack Sparrow all the time.
Right. Yeah, I was basically like you, Joseph. I thought it was going to be tiring to watch him, but man, these movies, he's still super fucking charming in them, super fucking funny, super engaging. And it's a shame that he as a person has devolved into an ashtray filled with cocaine.
Indeed. So I think really, if you didn't like the locker stuff, that might be the weakest bit to you. But the weakest bit to me is there's a long time between the locker and the final confrontation. Where there's just kind of a lot of unnecessary, like, complicated betrayals and failures of communication. And as Nick Mason would say from the podcast that we steal from, a lot of these problems could be solved with a Post-it note. It's just people intentionally not telling each other things to produce drama down the line. But I don't really care about all the like people switching ships and becoming captains of ships and all that bullshit. I do enjoy I think we could have spent less time there, but like again, the aesthetic of the pirate council and the shipwreck cove and whatever is pretty cool.
Yeah, the thing I don't mind the betrayal parts. I actually found it making way more sense this time than I did prior to. What I really don't like during this whole sequence is just how much we've cut Davy Jones's balls off.
Yeah,
as menacing as he is in the second film, he is pitiful and sad in this film.
Man, there's a bit where he comes into Cutler's office or whatever cabin, and Will is there drinking tea, like the most asshole-ish possible way that you can drink tea. And like, I just wanted to punch him in the face so goddamn hard through my TV. Which, I mean, if that was what you were going for as a character, it was pretty effective. But I feel like I'm supposed to like you.
Like, is there a more anticlimactic thing too than the fucking Kraken dies off screen?
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah, that's really
disappointing.
sad.
There's just a lot of anticlimactic stuff with this. The shit with Davy Jones getting neutered because they decided to just change what a character was from the first to the second. Oh, now suddenly she's a goddess. Like there being no reference to that beforehand. It just, I don't know. Yeah. I don't hate the third one, but stuff like that really annoys me.
Yeah, to your point, Jehu, there's a lot that's introduced in the third one that we're like supposed to have known all along. Like
right.
Barbossa having this secret deal and
right.
her, at least some reference to, Calypso being a goddess. And it just feels like they didn't. I think that character being Calypso makes sense, but they don't do a good enough job building to that. I think Barbossa, like having a backup plan, like if I die, this is what I'm going to do, makes sense. If you show me these things. I think even having a flashback sequence of Jack Sparrow meeting Davy Jones and making a deal for the Black Pearl would be good, because I think you definitely get it, you understand it, but I think it could have been more clear of the consequences and what he was facing and what actually happened. Like, we just don't do a good job of establishing our lead up to our solutions. And since this is the movie with solutions, it's the one that struggles the most.
A 6-hour movie should not have that many unanswered questions. I'm like, we get a lot of references to something having happened in the past between Jack Sparrow and Beckett, and we never really find out what it was, except for the fact that he branded Jack Sparrow for some reason. Yeah.
So I would say, I think the Pirate Cove stuff is cool. I looked up to see if all those pirates are real people. Apparently they're not. That would have been cooler to me. But they're all, charismatic looking people.
Yeah. I will say the pirate code that everyone's so beholden to looks a suspicious amount like your weird aunt's scrapbook.
Yeah, it's very paper mache, glued on type thing.
Yeah. Also they have a terrible voting system when just two people. I don't think they're educated enough for the word quorum, but it seems like something they should invest in their code.
What did we think about Jack Sparrow's father and who plays him?
I guess it's kind of a nod to people who like read the movie trivia before the movie started, because I think at that point it was pretty broad knowledge that Johnny Depp had based a lot of his mannerisms on Keith Richards. Keith Richards doesn't have to do a lot. I don't think he acts well in the parts that he has, but it didn't bother me.
It was an inside joke where everyone was inside, like that's like, what's the point of an inside joke where everybody's in on it? I don't know. I don't hate it, but it also was, I don't care about it.
Agreed.
Yeah. So to Jehu's point, we all knew that was a thing. This movie's 2 hours and 49 minutes. Cut out the 3-minute scene between Jack Sparrow and his father. That doesn't need to be in there. There's nothing gained from that moment. And it's not a knock on Keith Richards. Again, he's fine, but yeah, that felt really unnecessary to me. I think the last battle's cool.
The last battle is cool, but it's not as cool as I remembered it. I remembered it as being a huge sea battle between hundreds of ships, and rewatching it, it's just a sea battle between just two ships.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think it's really long, and I don't think it needs to be as long as it is.
It's like 30 minutes.
It's some of Barbossa's best lines. His whole presence is great in those moments.
I agree.
Look, the getting married on the ship is super stupid, but it also it tracks for this movie.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
As much as I wanted to hate it, I was like, this is in the theme.
Right.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah.
Calypso turning into a giant and then turning into crabs is dumb.
I knew you were going to mention that. I know you hate that so much.
It's so stupid. I hate everything about it.
You know what? She looked exactly like what a 50-foot woman would look like in real life. And I'm going to go ahead and make the judgment that if you're going to make a 50-foot woman in a movie, she shouldn't look exactly what it would look like in real life. 'Cause that was
she makes a line about how she's stuck in one form. I'm like, when she makes that line, is she just saying that she wants to change in size, not actually change forms? It just doesn't track for me.
But yeah, I mean, there's a big, long, exciting fight. I don't think I remembered exactly how it went because I thought it was more of like a voluntary thing for Will to stab the heart and save his father, but really it was more of like a Jack doing the right thing and kind of saving Will Turner and also giving everybody wins kind of situation.
Yeah. The only thing I really wanted to talk about, and this is kind of outside of the third film. I think these are some of Hans Zimmer's best scores.
Agreed. Oh God, the music's so good, guys. All the way around.
Is really good. Yeah, totally.
I think the Pirates theme from the first film are all really good, but they're all the shtick he did in the Oddies. Like the Gladiator soundtrack is identical to Pirates of the Caribbean, and so it's just kind of that was the phase he was in at the time. And that's a good shtick. I like those soundtracks, but this one is like someone gave him complete free reign and just said, hey, write whatever you want, and you get a lot of what he was currently doing at that time and when those Pirates reprises come back, but man, everything else is just top notch. That Davy Jones organ crap is incredible.
I love
that
it.
Is real good.
So that's like the main new theme in the second one is the Davy Jones lullaby kind of thing, music box thing. And then the third one, he incorporates the melody of that song they were singing at the gallows in the first scene into the score throughout. And so then you've got these three kind of major themes all representing kind of the three movies. And yeah, he's Hans Zimmer. He does a great fucking job with them.
Yeah, I thought the inclusion of the theme park music was a little weird going into Davy Jones's locker.
I didn't even notice that. Nope.
I didn't notice that either.
Yeah, there's like a screen that goes white before like Johnny Depp shows up, and it is literally the soundtrack from the ride. Like it's not like a new version; it's the same thing the robots sing when you ride the ride.
I did notice that now that you mentioned it. I'd forgotten it, but yeah, I did notice that.
Yeah. And it sounds like a thing robots would sing. I only had two other things I wanted to talk about. Number one, why not more meetups at sea? He can't come on land, but she can go to water.
I think that I also was thinking that a lot. Yeah, there's no reason they can't. What's a fun euphemism for boning?
Boning?
Rocking the boat.
Yeah, they can exactly. They can rock the boat anytime they want in those 10 years. Maybe that's Will Turner's. He's like, no, you can't get on the boat either, and that's his way of getting away.
I get that she can't go to the underworld or whatever he's supposed to do, but make a pit stop. That's all I'm saying.
Maybe he's just really busy.
I guess a lot of dead people.
I definitely think that ending is a lot of what drags down how people remember these movies because, you already had the dark ending in the one before this one. You had your Empire ending at the end of that one. This one needed to end with Ewok singing. Like, it didn't need a melancholy ending.
It has their child at the end of it, Jehu. That is the Ewok.
Yeah, also all these movies have post-credit scenes.
Yep.
Turns out that's more of a thing. Before, apparently there's a lot more of them than we knew, just nobody saw them. Did you know that Constantine has an end credit scene?
I did not.
I've
seen Constantine like 8 times, and I did not know that.
I didn't know about the first one in Pirates until I think it came out on DVD with the ending of Pirates 1.
Which is an important scene for the next movie.
Yeah. They count. They think you've seen it, though I don't know that anybody did.
Right.
The only other one to bring up are those English officers. Is that supposed to be like Tag and Bink?
Man, they do seem a lot like that, don't they? Totally.
Yeah, I don't know if it's an intentional nod, but it definitely felt like it. It feels like that's what that's supposed to be reminiscent of.
Right. Totally.
And the only, just overall thoughts. I felt like these were way better than I remember them. I'm glad we went back and revisited them. This is kind of why I wanted to do this, because I feel like there were movies that I would appreciate more. I'm afraid if we keep doing it, we're going to come across ones that I hate, that I used to love. But this was not that. Pirates of the Caribbean sequels 2 and 3, they're better than Transformers in my book.
I'm not gonna lie to you. These came out almost exactly as I remember them. They were maybe slightly better just by comparison to the 4th and 5th than when I saw them the last couple times that I've seen them. But I don't mind rewatching them. They're pretty easy watches, despite the fact that it's like 6 hours of watching.
I'm pretty much again exactly like I was on The Matrix. I love the second one. I'm going to go ahead and like the third one just because it's necessary to complete the second one. I wish it would have done a better job of paying off on the stuff that the second one had set up. But overall, I think they're both better than Transformers.
Man, actually, going back, one thing I want more of a payoff for than fucking Will Turner and Elizabeth fucking Swann is Davy Jones and Calypso. They have a more compelling romance to me than those fucking two.
Leaving this, why do you think Pirates 4 was so fucking awful? Because on paper, if you just explain that movie on paper, it sounds fucking awesome.
Because it forces it's the thing. Like he's the fun. Jack Sparrow is the fun like side character. I don't know if Han Solo is not a good example, but there's like all kinds of examples of that archetype of he's not the main character. He just gets to jump in and do the fun things and say the fun lines and be kind of morally ambiguous. But likable in that way. And when he's forced to do that because that's what people want and also be your protagonist who's also supposed to be the moral center of the movie, he can't do both.
Right.
And so it just stretches that character way too thin and it's not nearly as fun anymore.
It's like, just explaining it on paper, Jack Sparrow and Barbossa versus Ian McShane's like, yeah, that's the fucking movie.
Right.
No more Will Turner bullshit. I'm on fucking board with this. And it's just I think it's worse than the 5th.
They really fucked that one up.
I agree with you. I think the 4th is worse than the 5th. And the 5th had like half of the budget the 4th one did.
Right.
It still turned into a better product. I think I hate to say it, but I think Ian McShane is a letdown in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Ian McShane does not give a fuck about being in that movie.
Correct. Yes. Ian McShane was not as excited about Ian McShane being in that movie as the rest of us were about Ian McShane being in that.
Because I just wanted Al Swearingen as a pirate, and that is not what I got.
And that whole thing the 4 is disappointing.
So if any of our listeners are hoping maybe we'll do the same thing for Pirates 4 and 5, fuck no, we will never do that. Unless someone pays us money to do so, in which case I'm not.
I almost watched 4 just to talk about it during what we're watching, but I couldn't find it on Disney Plus.
Yeah, I don't think it's on Disney Plus for whatever reason.
Yeah,
I think it's on Netflix. It's on another streaming service right now. I think that's why it's not on Disney Plus.
Right on.
But on that note, yeah,
Hot C 2 and 3. They're both better than Transformers.
If you're 17, you're really gonna like it.
Right. Thanks.
Oh, well, cool. I think that's it for that. What have we been watching this past week, guys?
I watched nothing. The only things I started New Girl with my wife because like once a year we watch a sitcom. I've never watched New Girl before. It's fine.
I would agree.
Seems a little samey, but the characters are funny. So it's kind of the same plots over and over and over again, but you enjoy those characters and those antics. I'm hopeful. We're about to start season 3. Maybe something new will happen. I'm not going to get my hopes up.
I'll tell you, Jake Johnson's charm can carry a show a really long way, but it couldn't carry me to the end.
See, I think he's insufferable in this.
Oh, I love him so much.
He is my least favorite character.
I mean, he's arguably the worst person.
Yes,
but I still love him.
He's the worst person, and he's angry at everyone else being better than him.
Yep.
And that's just really annoying over and over and over again.
Maybe I just identify with that.
Yeah, that sounds about right. The only other thing I wanted to talk about was I watched on YouTube the Scott Pilgrim table read for charity.
I saw bits of that.
Yeah, most of the cast, pretty much everyone big except for Brie Larson.
That uppity bitch.
Doing the whole thing, which was shocking. It's a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. One of the really like entertaining parts to me is they all know how much of a following that movie has and how great some of those lines are. So like you can see other people getting excited to hear a character say a line of dialogue. And then when they say it, like everyone freaks out. Also, Aubrey Plaza is just hilarious.
She's crushing it. I know. She's so good.
She's so good in it. And again, she's just sitting in her house on her computer, but her presence is hilarious. It really brightened my day. It was a good time. I'd recommend it if you got an hour and a half. That's it.
I did not know that existed. I'll probably watch that. That sounds cool. I was going into what we're reading today to go ahead and say that I had nothing to talk about because I watched like 12 hours of shit for this podcast and a future podcast episode. So I really hadn't watched anything worth talking about on my own. But then Joseph brought up something that I thought was kind of funny. Me and Sarah have been rewatching House, and which we have done a lot. We like House a lot. And we're on the writer's strike season right now, which is the season where he had, if you guys are familiar with the show, he basically has a like a reality show type thing to pick his 3 new underlings after he fires his other underlings. And it's the best season of the show.
I was about to say, I don't remember that being a bad season. I remember liking that season.
No, it's fucking great. And it made me
It's my favorite season.
Well, and if you think about it, that's not uncommon. Like Lost also had its best season during the writer's strike. But then other shows were ruined by the writer's strike. Like Heroes was fucking ruined by this writer's strike. Never recovered. Not that it was that great to begin with, but it was watchable. But so I was going to suggest that we should do an episode about the how the writer's strike affected TV shows, because it's kind of topical to the pandemic right now. It's sort of the same thing. And I was listening to that podcast that we steal all our ideas from, and they're going to do a fucking episode on that before I even got to say it to you guys. So anyways, that's all I got.
That's funny.
They are us, but better. So that makes sense.
Us, but successful.
You're correct. I don't have that much this week. I got sucked into another video game that I kind of like, but we'll get into that. My Ghibli film for this week, I watched Porco Rosso, which apparently creeps Christian out by the, thumbnail for it on HBO Max, which
I don't like it.
It's a pig with a mustache flying a plane. But I told Christian, and I will tell our listeners, if you liked Tailspin, or you even like the idea of the intro bit of Tailspin, you'll like this movie. It's it's about seaplanes and freedom and lighthearted dogfights, if that makes any sense. Not
Nothing
like
says
dog
fight, like lighthearted.
I know, but like it's a movie where the stakes should constantly be death, but they never feel like they're death. It's a pretty fun time. I quite enjoyed it. Also, we watched the Japanese version, but the English version, Porco Rosso is played by Michael Keaton, and that's fucking dead on. They nailed that. So I kind of want to rewatch it with Michael Keaton. Also, apparently the French version is Jean Reno, and apparently Miyazaki says the French version is the best version. And the only other thing I've been doing is I'm working my way down the PS4 greatest whatever list. And I started Horizon Zero Dawn, which the only thing I knew about it is there's a girl on a horse who shoots arrows at dinosaur robots, which is actually the game. I nailed it just based on the cover art. But it's a bit more. A lot of the stuff that I've been enjoying is shorter, a bit more on the rails, and kind of more narratively centric. This is kind of your more traditional RPG, like your Skyrim or your Fallout or your Red Dead kind of thing. And it's just a little too open world for me. I don't really like that. I prefer to be on a bit of a track. I can't mentally commit the amount of time necessary to do all the shit, and that upsets me.
Yeah.
Right.
That said, it's pretty fun to shoot arrows at dinosaur monsters, dinosaur robots, and watch them explode. So, up to you. That's my pitch for it. But that's it.
Yeah, the only thing I know about this game is, like, after Ronda Rousey left wrestling, which is still a weird sentence. She tried to become a Twitch streamer, and this was the game she streamed. And I never watched it, but it just felt like a collection of words that made sense in 2019.
That's fair. Oh, also the main character is voiced by Critical Role friend Ashley Birch. So there's that.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that unless you guys had anything else, I think that's it for this week.
That's all I got.
That's it.
I know we had a plan for next week. What was it?
I suggested pitching your own Indiana Jones movie.
Right. Okay. I like that. Yeah. So we're gonna do a pitch episode next week. With the looming, I can't think of the
James
name. Mangold Indiana Jones film coming. We don't really know the details. Surely we'll have the Mangold spin, but it's a pretty rich concept and franchise to mine. So I think we're gonna take our own little crack at it, see what kind of Indiana Jones adventures we'd like to see on the big screen. But yeah, so that's what's coming next week. Thank you guys for listening to this one. If you have feelings about Pirates of the Caribbean 2, 3, 1, or if you think that 4 or 5 are better than we think that they are, you can let us know at realphonies@gmail.com and also on Facebook and Twitter at realphonies and on Instagram at real_phonies. I skipped this bit, but please like and subscribe and tell your friends about our podcast. Share the joy. If you're not already listening to the Weekly Planet, don't do that. Listen to this and tell your friends about it. Yeah, that's it for this week. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you to Zach Evans for art and Brian Velasquez for our theme. We'll see you guys next week.
Later.